Look, I don't care if you saw the Snow White movie or you care about Snow White. I'm not going to see it. That's not the point. This was an example of something which is so important and so critical. I want to bring it to your attention right now. Let's don't let this event go by without paying attention and recognizing how important it is. You know, every now and then, when there's something that really critical happens, especially to our society, we will see it in the world of art in the life. Now, I want to tell you why this new Snow White business was universally panned, and it's important that you pay attention. This was a woke train wreck. It's more like snow woke or whatever you want to call it. And it was emblematic of the end of a period that we are seeing dissolve before our eyes. First of all, Hollywood, or what was called Hollywood, Hollyweird, has officially lost what's left of its mind. Again, maybe for the last time. And the latest casualty is this Disney's remake of Snow White, which you knew was going to be a disaster. You knew something as simple. And you would think Disney would say the last thing they would ever want to do is do anything that would affect the quality of their bottom line. But they don't care because they're so infected by this. Now, I think somebody could call it Snow Woke and the 7 victim groups or something. Now, what was once this beloved fairy tale, and I'll be honest with you, when I grew up, I knew about them tangentially. I wasn't really into that stuff, but you know, Snow White, whatever. But kids liked it. We liked it. It was about innocence. It was about virtue and redemption. It wasn't about what you think it was. It might have seemed a little rough, you know, Poison and Prince Charming. But if you think about it, well, forget then. Look what they're doing now. And now it's been hijacked by these psychopaths, these radical left-wing ideologues, these lunatics, these chidrulos, who are shoving diversity quotas and identity politics down America's throat, and nobody gets it. That's the best thing. What are you doing? And guess what? Audiences aren't buying it. Literally. It's a dog. And the reason why they're not caring is that in the old days, when they had that USAID money, they could say, it doesn't matter, we're going to make the bottom line. Not anymore. Not anymore thanks to Doge and to President Trump. Now, here's the best part. Let's get something straight. Nobody asked for this. No child was begging the parents for a reimagined, politically sterilized version of Snow White with no dwarfs. Magical forest beings, pardon me. No prince. Mom, please do me a favor, take me, but don't make me go through this notion of beauty and a prince and no charm. What the hell's charm? Prince Charming? Think about that. No kid ever said, please change it. But the radical left doesn't care about what people want. They only care about pushing their deranged, psychopathic social agenda down your throat, even if it means, here's the best part, torching their own profits and dragging these beloved institutions down with them. This was our folklore. This was about our tradition. Now, this movie was a disaster from the moment it was even announced. That's the best part. And instead of a classic European fairy tale character, we get this loudmouth, big mouth lead actress who proudly declared that the original story was weird. Oh, that's good. Oh, and outdated. Thank you. That's genius. She made it clear that she was playing a leader version of Snow White, whatever the hell that means, a leader version, who didn't need a man to save her. Oh, you're winning us. This is great. In other words, the film wasn't about love or growth or morality, or it was about ideological warfare dressed in CGI or DEI or MOUSE or whatever the hell it is. Now, please, let's not forget the insane decision to erase the 7 dwarfs. Apparently, I guess because they're somehow offensive now. Offensive to whom exactly? And the 7 dwarfs were beloved characters, and here's the best part: they weren't handicapped or crippled. They had unique personalities. That's the point. It wasn't characters. Remember Princess Bride, and it was a fairy tale, but it was about the personality types that each of the dwarfs provided. It wasn't characters meant to demean anybody. No, the one who wants to demean somebody is this actress, this big mouth, will never work again anywhere, who decided to screw this whole thing up. But in this upside down, deranged DEI. By the way, when I say DEI, doesn't that just DEI? It's been so conditioned for insanity. Anyway, this DEI lunacy is what we're talking about. Now, so they replaced, I guess, the dwarfs with a diversity group of random adults in mismatched, kind of uncoordinated costumes with zero chemistry. That's good. That'll win the audience. There you go. It was less Magic Forest and more like failed improv troupe or something. I don't know what this was. This is DEI, folks, in action. Not merit, not quality, not meritocracy, just box checking, and making sure that somebody from every background, even if none of them can act, have any interest, even though it kills the show, it doesn't matter. Makes no sense as long as they're there. Even if the whole thing collapses under the weight of its own woke stupidity and absurdity. Agenda, remember, is mandatory. You're not going to see this anymore. Not after Trump, not after Doge, not after Elon. And what happened next? Anyway, this is good too. Exactly what anybody with common sense expected happened next. The trailers bombed. The trailers bombed. The trailer. This is the best. This is the most important. This is the best moments. How many times have you gone to a movie and the trailer was great, but the movie sucked? Well, the trailer sucked. The test screenings were catastrophic. Strophic? What am I? I'm speaking in a stylized. Anyway, audience feedback was brutal. People were laughing at it, not with it. Memes exploded. Critics tried to spin it as best they could, of course, blaming the whole, toxic Trump right-wing outrage bullshit machine. But the truth kept staring them in the face. And it goes something like this. They hated it. They hated it. Still, Disney pushed forward. Why? I don't know. Because there's no longer anything about making good movies. It's about controlling a narrative or creating some ideological premise. It's about indoctrination and not inspiration. And in the process, they're burning billions. How about The Marvels, Indiana Jones 5, Lightyear, all massive flops. And now Snow White, a title with almost 100 years of global brand recognition, gets dragged through the mud in service to some radical left woke ideology. So how do you explain this? Why would a publicly traded company continue down this path of clearly and absolutely killing its own financial future? It's a good question, don't you think? And the answer is simple. The people running these studios aren't interested in profits. Pardon me. They're interested in politics, but not profits. I know that sounds crazy. They're interested in pushing politics and ideology. These are the same Ivy League indoctrinated executives who thought American public is just too stupid to know what's good for them. Remember that brain surgeon who gave you the whole Bud Light thing, Dylan Mulvaney? They're still there. They believe they're on some kind of a moral crusade. And if they have to destroy a century of culture and tradition and story, so be it. What's next, really? Well, what's really incredible is that the same folks preaching inclusion and progressivism or whatever the hell they prove, and the ones burning Teslas with swastikas, are the ones dividing audiences along racial, gender, ideological lines. Isn't that great? Inclusion through division. They don't care about unity. They care about control. And every time Americans reject their propaganda at the box office, they double down. Oh, no. We're not going to let you tell us what. You don't know what you like. It's like watching someone set their house on fire and then blame the neighbors for not admiring the flames. It's bizarre. And the radical left, they have this obsession with rewriting the past, deconstructing heroes. They don't like the Civil War. They don't like history. They think they can just change it. And they inject this intersectional, whatever the hell that means, these politics into every frame, every moment, every section of the film. And it makes it this chore. And what used to be fun and magical and aspirational is now exhausting. Nobody wants to hear some lecture from a princess, for God's sakes. Imagine bringing your kid to this, and your kid says, "What is this?" And you say, "I don't know." It's supposed to be fun, yeah? Theoretically. Nobody wants to be scolded in a fairy tale by this punk. The idea was, I thought we'd go to movies to escape this nonsense, not to be dragged into it. But that's where they are right now. You see, this new Snow White thing is so fantastic. It didn't fail because of racism or sexism or internet trolls. It failed because it sucked. It's simple. It was hollow. It was condescending, joyless, pathetic, vapid, insipid. It was horrible. It failed because it replaced timeless American values and tradition and stories with trendy slogans. It failed because it forgot its audience. It forgot where it was. But here's the good news. And there is good news here. Americans are waking up. They're absolutely turning out the noise. They're voting with their wallets. And they're saying loud and clear, we've had enough. And don't forget, with Elon Musk and Doge, those monies, those funds that propped up these studios, they're not there anymore. So you're actually going to see them go maybe back to caring about profits. You see, families are rejecting this. Nobody likes it. It's just even simpler than that. Parents are pulling their kids out of line for this woke entertainment nonsense. And the real artists, the creators and thinkers, they're starting to push back. And we've seen this before, by the way. Every empire, every group, every institution that loses touch with its people eventually crumbles. Absolutely. And make no mistake, woke Hollywood and Hollyweird are on the empire decline. Okay, the stars are dimming. There are no stars. It's script are recycled. They're doing rehashes and remakes. Magic is gone. There's no stars anymore. There's no Cary Grant. All that's left is a hollow shell filled with buzzwords and virtue signals. And by the way, interesting thing, the movie Barbie was very interesting. Because, my wife and I saw it, and it actually promoted things like being a girl. Women were dressing up like girls, wait a minute, being feminine, wait a minute, and going to Barbie parties. And it turned out to be one of the biggest, there was some message, I guess, but it was one of the biggest successes in recent years. But America, see, we still remember the real stories. The courage, the sacrifice, the love, and the hope, and the themes. We remember heroes who earned their victories, villains who deserved their defeat and their fate. Remember that? Happy endings that inspired. Remember that? There was a reason for that. It was magical, but it was also mathematical. They didn't want lectures. People remember the magic that came from truth, not from X, with all due respect, or Instagram. But I think we're going to see a cultural reset. Not just for Disney, who cares about that, but for all of us. We don't need more remakes. We need originality. We need more slogans. We need, less slogans, more stories, more themes, more truth. No more DEI. DEI is that, and these consultants. Oh, that was a great gig. We need visionaries, the Capras, and the Disneys, and the people who really thought. The Warner Brothers, Hanna-Barbera, people who had the guts to stand up to the mob and make entertainment worth watching again, and also caring about the audience. So I hope that we let this Snow White serve as some kind of yet again, another cautionary tale, not about princes or poison apples or whatever the hell the story is, but about what happens when you let ideology override imagination. You see, the radical left, these sick bastards, they can have their progressive fairy tales all they want. That's fine. But the rest of us, the rest of the thinking real world, will be over here building something better, going back to what really mattered, something real, something that lasts, something that means something. It's called tradition. Because I'm telling you, the American people are done clapping for garbage, and they're not afraid to say it anymore. We are through with this. So this may be to you just kind of some movie. Oh, no. This was a message that these rat bastards heard loud and clear. What do you think? Do me a favor, like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that little bell so you're notified of live streams and new videos, and whatever you do, I beg, beseech, importune and entreat you to comment as you see fit.